And welcome into the Monday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping for homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We are live here on this Monday morning from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Joe Rexrode, it's a big week. How we doing? What's going on?
It is a big week. I hope everybody's safe starting out. Doing fine. We actually got everybody, including the Gus, who's just absolute freaks out about any storm, gathered around the downstairs bathroom for a few minutes last night. But, I mean, it seems like everything's all right for the most part. Hope everybody's okay.
Yep.
Now it's Arctic outside, and then in a couple days it'll be hot, right?
I believe so. I believe that's the plan.
All right.
Kind of sounds like Tennessee in March.
Yeah. Yeah. So heading to Oklahoma City, and as I just told you guys, we're talking, it is 26 degrees right now in Oklahoma City. It will be 95 degrees in a couple days.
That reminds
70 degree difference.
That reminds me of the time, I think I brought this up multiple times, where the Titans opened their season in Denver in like 2020 or whatever it was. And I think like 2 days before they got there, it was like 28 snowing in September.
Yeah.
And then the day they were there, it was like 90.
It's
like, wow,
super hot.
How about that? That's pretty wild.
It is.
So
I hope everybody's all right. That was a little scary last night. I mean, that's what I guess that when you see these temperature changes, usually there's some fronts that have, are tied to them. There's my weather moment for you.
That was good.
Yeah, thanks.
Meteorologist Joe Rexrode.
I'm no Greg Bobus
on the program. Ian, how are you doing? What's going on?
Good morning. Groundhog Day style. I like that. Groundhog Day. Can never get enough Groundhog Day movie.
Sure.
But doing good, thanks. Solid weekend. Checking out some brackets, a little bit of hockey. Wrapping up spring break with the fam. Nice weekend. Got outside. So it was good. Thanks. Happy Monday, everybody. Stay safe. It is cool out there. So
yes,
bundle up. Good thing I didn't put away all the winter clothes yet.
I know. I had
still got the lined pants and all the good stuff.
I just gotten used to, internally. It's like, all right, my body clock, I think, is used to like 75 degrees now. Then I walked out this morning. I was like, well, this sucks. It's like 38. This is awful. What's going on?
Yeah. This is it, though.
I think so.
Right? This is it.
I hope so.
Yeah, that would be very weird if this isn't it.
It would be. It would be. We got a lot going on in the program today. The brackets are out, so obviously we will get heavily into the NCAA tournament today. Gentry Estus from the Tennessean will be with us at 7 o'clock. We'll get his thoughts on Tennessee and Vanderbilt and the NCAA tournament coming up. Cory Curtis for his weekly visit at 8 o'clock, so looking forward to all that. Taking your thoughts in the meantime throughout the show at 615-737-1025. Joe Vanderbilt taking down Tennessee and then taking down Florida over the weekend to punch their ticket to the SEC championship. Obviously did not go the Commodores' way yesterday. Coach Cal climbing the ladder, cutting down the nets once again at the SEC tournament. So I guess congratulations. Did he call the Hogs? I didn't see. I didn't. Did he call any Hogs yesterday?
It's so funny that you say that because, after they won it, everybody's on the floor. And they were up on the little podium, and he did call the Hogs. I was sitting there.
They're probably going to win the national championship now. I've been waiting on him to do it for 2 years.
But it was kind of half-assed, but, he kind of started to do it, and then he was just kind of looking around like, and then he did it a little bit again. It's like, all right, I guess that counts.
Woo, woo, woo,
woo, woo, woo. Well, congratulations to Coach Cal for finally calling the Hogs. That's good to know that he did it. But Vanderbilt coming up just short in the SEC tournament final. Joe, what did you make of the run that Mark Byington and company were able to put together this weekend to punch their ticket to the final in the SEC tournament before we get into everybody yelling about where they're seated at the bracket? In a few minutes.
I'm ready for that too. They had a heck of a weekend, and it's too bad for them that yesterday they just really they missed some shots that you expect them to make. Now they made all the shots against Florida, right? Like especially. Their bigs were 7 for 10 from 3. Like Todd Golden said, they basically, hey, you got to give something up. You're going to try to make it as tough as possible on those two guards, and the bigs hit shots. But yesterday, Tanner had a tough shooting day. It was a great run. A comeback against Tennessee and for that rubber match. But then again, that's an eye opener what they did to Florida. And I thought it would be a seed helper too, but I think they're the most befuddling seeding of the entire tournament. But regardless, they are. It was a very good run, and I think one of the coolest things about the whole weekend was I was very curious of how Vanderbilt fans would show up. They just haven't really in this tournament made money. Like you wouldn't know that it's a fan base that's local. It's like, okay, is this a Vandy game or is it a Mississippi State game? I mean, they just haven't really. And look, they also haven't had great teams to cheer. You have to remember that too. I mean, yesterday it was really like a 50-50 building, and it was packed and it was rocking, and that was cool. Like they actually made an impact on the game. Both fan bases were really good. That's what you want in a championship game. And there was no Kentucky, no Tennessee. You're like, is that what's it going to be like? But both sides really did a great job. I thought that was one of the cool things for Vanderbilt. But as for their team, look, man, Tyler Tanner and Duke Miles, when they get cooking, I mean, they are something else. There were some moments yesterday with Duke Miles getting steals and behind the back finishing, and then you got Darius Acuff doing just ridiculous stuff for Arkansas. I mean, I'm not sure he's not the best player in the entire sport. He's unbelievable. That was fun. Too bad for Vanderbilt to not finish it off, but I think they kind of, served notice a little bit, just like Arkansas did. But guard play, it's a cliche, but it's true. I mean, guard play is huge. Florida last year won it all. They had all these bigs then. Why'd they win it all? Because Walter Clayton Jr. dragged them to a championship. And I think Vanderbilt has a chance to really do some damage here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like you said, they are the 5th seed, which generated a lot of reaction yesterday. They're going to take on McNeese in the 5-12 matchup to begin things. But, the conversation of really, you brought this up with the piece you talked about at The Athletic of we don't really know, where the seeding list or where it stands with the committee heading into all this.
Right.
But they get a win against Florida. They punch their ticket to the SEC title game, and you lose against Arkansas. But I think a lot of people figured that that'd be good enough to get them to the 4 line, and it did not. They ended up at number 5. So what do you make of that? And what do you make of that decision by the committee, which, again, we don't know where they had them before all this. So as that point continues to be drug up, there's a lot of conversation. And I saw a couple of Vanderbilt fans text me yesterday that are good buddies of mine were pissed about this.
Well, and the weird thing is, I've been following this stuff for a long time. It used to be a lot less predictable and a lot more all over the place. And, like RPI was the main thing. And it's just like, it was way harder to predict. I mean, most of the stuff yesterday was exactly what I thought it would be. Like, so it all made sense. You go down the list of the team sheets and it's like, yeah, okay, they're seated right.
You are the nation's leading bracketologist, so keep that in mind.
Well, look, I don't want to be, cocky, but I got every team right, so I'm just saying. I don't know who else got every team. I think Lenard.
Yep, yet another shameless plug
That's
from
right.
Joe Rexrode.
Thank you. I took Auburn out at the end. I'm like, they're not going to put Auburn in, and I was right. But anyway, and that was probably the right call, by the way. Yeah, so you go through all the sheets, and it's like, yeah, okay, the Big Ten. Everybody talks about the Sunday games matter. Like 100% mattered yesterday because Purdue beat Michigan. So that win over Michigan is a huge change. That's where you change your resume, by getting a win like that. You beat one of the best teams in the country on a neutral floor. Well, guess what? They went from 11 to 8. They replaced Michigan State on the 2 line. Michigan State bumps back to a 3. That's what should happen. Vanderbilt beating Florida. I mean, that should be, to me, that made a 4 the worst case scenario, and I thought if they beat Arkansas, they could get a 3, but I thought certainly they were a safe 4. I mean, they're number 9 in wins above bubble, number 9 in the KPI, number 12 in KenPom, number 10 at Torvik. Like, these are 3 seed numbers, and they got a 5. Now, there's another thing to remember about this is with these brackets, and I don't know that this is necessarily the case, but there's always a 1 seed up or down wiggle room to make the bracket fit. Now that is, and so teams get screwed sometimes by that. And it's like, wait a minute, there's no way that's a 6. Like, and then, if you were in the room, it's like, well, it just doesn't work in this region because of a rematch here, blah, blah, blah. So there need to be a 6. That does happen. But yeah, like they were seeded, like a 4 would have been fine. I think losing to Arkansas, I expected a 4. So, like, we're talking about 1 seed line. When it comes down to it, I don't hate their draw because, yes, they're a 5, and I think it's lame that they're putting Florida's region, so then they're looking at, if they do get to the second weekend, playing Florida again. It just, it's like, maybe I guess if I'm them, I probably still would pick that over Duke, Arizona, or Michigan. But it's kind of lame. I don't hate their draw with Nebraska as the 4. Nebraska's a hell of a story this year, and obviously they're looking for their first NCAA win coming up here this week. But that's a draw that Vanderbilt could beat Nebraska without question, and the Sweet 16, of course, would be a big deal for Vanderbilt.
We are off and running on Robby and Rexrode. The bracket is out. We will break it all down. The path for Vanderbilt, the path for Tennessee. Take a look at the bracket as a whole. Your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Our phone number. More coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode. It is Reaction Monday, brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The bracket is out. Vanderbilt a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. The Vols a 6 seed. So, Joe, we were discussing Vanderbilt. Let's talk about their path for a minute. You brought it up. So, Vanderbilt going to be taking on McNeese.
Which is dangerous.
In the 5-12 matchup in Oklahoma City. So, Rexrode will be live there and in person. Watching it all play out.
I didn't think I was going to get Vanderbilt to Tennessee. I'm like, well, Vanderbilt got screwed. So, all right, come on, Vanderbilt. Come on out to Oklahoma City. It'll
right
be 95
in front
degrees.
Of Joe Rexrode. I'm sure there's a nice steakhouse in Oklahoma City that Rexrode can find.
I'm sure Gentry and I will find our way there.
I'm sure you will. But the 5-12 matchup, you mentioned Nebraska as the 4 seed would be likely the next opponent if Vanderbilt beats McNeese. But overall, what do you make of the path here? You've gotten the 5 seed, which people are mad about. What do you make of the path now that we know that's what it's going to be for Vanderbilt?
Yeah, well, again, McNeese, that's a program that, of course, Will Wade went down there and immediately got it rolling.
Be monitoring your communications if you're Mark Byington.
Yeah, that's right. And Will Wade, who, again, apparently, like, LSU is, like, totally planning on, like, they're trying to, like, go steal away from NC State. I have no idea. It's just bizarre. But McNeese, you were talking about the number. So they are the number 2 in the nation steal percentage. Turnover rate for their opponents is number 1. So they're going to be all over the place trying. Let's see, their tempo isn't as high as you would think there, but they're a scrambling, try to create turnovers defense type of thing, So it's one of those things where if that works for them, they could really cause trouble. If Vanderbilt takes care of the ball, doesn't get sloppy with it, they're gonna get great shots. This is not unlike some of these teams that you see around the 12. This is not a great. This is actually they're 299th in 3-point percentage. So like sometimes I look at these, the lower seed. Do we have a big time 3-point shooting threat that can often play the equalizer? But they're not great there. They are a very good rebounding team, which is interesting. Now again, in that league, how does that translate to Vanderbilt? Vanderbilt just played. I mean, the Vanderbilt back to back played Tennessee and Florida, two of the best rebounding teams, and they hung in there. They have some limitations inside, but they hung in there. Look, it's anything. Certainly, we know the 12-5 history. The 12-5 history is what it is. It happens. But, I would pick them in that. We'll see if Nebraska – I mean, it's really interesting with Nebraska because, there's going to be – I know that, out there, and it's going to be a huge focal point is, can they get the first NCAA win in the history of the program? And Troy is not bad. Troy is a dangerous team too. So that's going to be really interesting. If they get it, then it's also the reaction to them beating Troy, for the most part, a 4 seed being a 13, it's great, whatever. It's the first NCAA win in program history. Is that an advantage to Vanderbilt because everybody's going gaga that the Huskers won it? I don't know. Obviously, I know Fred Hoiberg will try to mute that. But if they get Nebraska, I mean, you're talking about, Nebraska is a great defensive team. They want to slow things down. They will do a better job against Vanderbilt than a lot of teams have been able to do. I mean, you're talking about number 7 in adjusted defensive efficiency, according to KenPom. They're not an overly talented team. They got bigs who can step out and shoot it, rink mask, I mean, it would be a very good game, but certainly a game. If Vanderbilt plays the way they did this weekend in Bridgestone, a game they can win.
On the Tennessee front, part of Vanderbilt's path this weekend was taking down Tennessee, winning the rubber match, and the Vols out on Friday. So Tennessee ends up with a 6 seed, which I believe is the lowest they've had under Rick Barnes.
It is the lowest they've had under Rick Barnes.
You got Tennessee as a 6. They're going to take on the winner of SMU and Miami of Ohio in one of the first 4 games coming up. So we'll see which one that is, whether that's Miami of Ohio or SMU. If they win that game, the likely opponent is going to be the 3 seed Virginia after that. So obviously it's going to be a tough path here for Tennessee. What do you make of what the Vols have in front of them as the 6th seed in that bracket?
Well, the committee just really is trying to see if they can get Tennessee and Kentucky to play in the Sweet 16, although that would be a 6 versus 7. So you'd be talking about a significant upset in there. First of all, SMU Miami of Ohio. That's a really interesting. I'm glad Miami of Ohio got in. I think that was as big a story as anything yesterday. They should have gotten in. They're 31-1. Also, and they're a great shooting team. And also, defensively, they're really bad. It'd be a lot of fun if Miami wins that game and we get Tennessee-Miami. And if so, again, it's just an incredible shooting team and a very bad defensive team. If you tell me right now that SMU just takes care of Miami, I'm not shocked. And SMU, as the committee, as Keith Gill pointed out, and boy, how about the difference between the explanations of the basketball choices by Keith Gill and then whatever the hell they were doing in football this year. I mean, it was oh yeah, that actually makes sense. Thank you. I mean, Bruce Pearl's on TV,
Did he cry?
Campaigning for his son. He did not cry. He said he cried every time they heard his name. I don't think you cried every single time, Bruce. Is there footage of him
every time?
Yeah. Is there footage of you with Tennessee? Whether they show the team, yeah, and he's every time. Come on, Bruce. I think I will say this for Bruce Pearl. I mean, it's obvious people are they're all over him. They know his son coaches all that stuff, and so he made their case. I didn't think he was overboard with it at all. It was fine. Also, awful announcing had the story he's still on the Auburn payroll. and on CBS, which is a fair thing to bring up. But again, Nick Saban is also the same thing, and he's on ESPN.
That's true.
And also Jay Wright, who, yes, I agree with everybody. Like, it's too bad Jay Wright's not doing it anymore. Jay Wright was also on the Villanova payroll when he did that. Like, that's what happens. These guys get parachute jobs that they remain with the school. Like, but it's Bruce Pearl, so people get mad at Bruce Pearl, and I get it. They got it right, though. The point being, as Keith Gill pointed out, third leading scorer for SMU has been out during this 5-for-6 stretch with his ankle. He's back. So, like, that's a dangerous team. Either way, Tennessee would face a dangerous game, no question. If they get past it, I mean, Tennessee, Virginia, people are in love with Virginia right now. Totally understand that. They played really well in the ACC tournament. They gave Duke a run. Tennessee could absolutely beat Virginia. Get to the Sweet 16. So, look, Tennessee and Vanderbilt both. I mean, it's so obvious. They could go out right away, or they could make a run. Tennessee in the Sweet 16 would not surprise me. I think it would surprise me less than it would surprise a lot of people. But you just have to. Obviously, Nate Ament has to be great. He has to be.
Yep.
And Gillespie has to be great. And then can you find one other person to just here and there put the ball into the basket? And they got some guys taking shots. And they got some really good, defenders, athletes, good guys. But when they shoot the ball, you're just like, don't shoot the ball. Yep, that's why you shouldn't have shot the ball. There's just too much of that with this team.
By the way, congratulations to TSU, who will be in the tournament. They're taking on Iowa State coming up in St. Louis. So they are the 15th seed. They're taking on the number 2 seed, Iowa State. Obviously we'll see what that game goes, or how that game looks and what it looks and how it goes for them. But a great season for Tennessee State, as you pointed out last week, and officially a 15 seed taking on the Cyclones up there in St. Louis.
It's an amazing story that they're there. First time since 1994. I mean, TSU's been in it twice, 93, 94. They actually gave Kentucky a decent game one of those years. But it's a great story, Nolan Smith and what he's done. And, watching them, I think that could be a better 2-15 game than a lot of 2-15 games. We'll see. But they have skill. They move the ball. They have shooters. And Iowa State's really good. No question about it. They're a little erratic, though, too, And, they played really well in the Big 12 tournament. But I'm very interested in that game. And I think Tennessee State is going to come out and have a good showing.
Noted Auburn fan on the YouTube chat, K-Dodd, saying that Auburn needs to fire Stephen Pearl.
Fire him right now.
Get him out.
Yeah.
I am interested, in the long term here. Very interested to see how that goes.
Well, look, I went down there and did a story, on him, and did the access thing. And the thing that he said that really stood out to me, and I can't disagree with it. He's basically got 2 years. I had 2 years to prove that it's not just, daddy's little boy, yeah, you got the job. And he's right. So no, of course he's not going to get fired now. I thought at one point this year, I was like, he's doing a pretty freaking good job considering what they're not overly talented. They're going to be in the tournament. They're going to be like a 7 seed. And then we know what happened down the stretch. They fell apart. So huge offseason for him. A year from now, the noise could be ugly, but he gets it too. It's this offseason is, and as we know, they've been scouting. They have been out. They've been out front there and trying to help the roster for next year. So you do have that going for you, K-Dog.
I just hope he got some lodging figured out this weekend. Didn't he say he rented his house out for an Airbnb and he didn't know where to stay because he thinks he's going to be in the tournament or something like that? Hope he finds out where to stay this weekend. Said Stephen Pearl.
I missed that.
Yeah. And he was like, yeah, again, house Airbnb. We're going to be in the tournament. I ain't worried about it. So apparently not.
All right. Well, find
a hotel.
Maybe, try a Holodome.
Yeah.
They got a pool.
There you go.
615-737-1025
is our phone number. 615-737-1025. So we've laid it out for Vanderbilt. We've laid it out for Tennessee in terms of the path here in the NCAA tournament. Let's take your reaction. How far is Vanderbilt going in this? How far is Tennessee going in this? What do you make of the bracket as a whole? 615-737-1025. More thoughts on that coming up next You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Keith, it's the same question every year, but I think a lot of people are trying to figure out what the tournament championship games meant. Arkansas gets a 4, winning the SEC. Vandy at a 5, and they get a tough opening round matchup against McNeese. How did you assess the value of those teams that made it to their championship games?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And so it's full body work, and but the championship games do matter. You know, if you look at the Big Ten championship, essentially Michigan was the number 2 overall seed on our seed list going into that championship. And based on that result, Arizona ended up scrubbing up ahead of them to be the number 2 overall seed. And Michigan ended up being the number 3 overall seed. And then you can look at Purdue as well. So Purdue was on the 3 line kind of going into that championship. And then after that result, and we scrubbed, they went from 11 on our overall seed to 8 on our overall seed, which then put them on the 2 line.
That's Keith Gill discussing the seeding that took place. It sure does seem like, I mean, if you're a Vanderbilt fan listening to that, Joe, it's like, okay, so where'd you have Vanderbilt heading into the weekend? Good grief. They're still a 5 after making it to the SEC championship game.
Yeah, it really is. Like I said, man, I yesterday as I'm watching this, it's like, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yep. I've never been less ticked off by a bracket than yesterday's bracket. And I think part of it is because they have the process now with these 7 metrics. It's pretty clear. It's pretty easy to follow along. An idiot like me can, basically
become the nation's leading bracketologist.
Sure, exactly. But yeah, like anybody could do it. Like you just follow the metric, and obviously you talk through the teams or whatever. It's like, okay, remember, like they beat that team when they had an injured guy. Whatever. There's always stuff like that. But it made sense all up and down the bracket. And then Vanderbilt at 5 just doesn't. I mean, it just really doesn't. The committee, remember, they did, the only thing that we know is the top 16 on February 21st, right? Well, Vanderbilt was a 4. So Vanderbilt was a 4 on February 21st. After that, they won 4 games over teams that are in this tournament. They got 3 quad 1A victories from that time to now. Again, including beating Florida. Like how I thought they'd be a 4. So I'm not, like, I thought if they beat Arkansas and they count the game, then that could be a 3. But 4 is fine. 5 it's just wrong. But I guess if you want to be, if you want to look around, okay, you could have been a 4. Okay, so fine. So you could have been a 4 instead of Nebraska. I don't know. Nebraska was going to be a 5, so you'd play somebody else's 5. Kansas, you might be looking at playing St. John's, which is that would be the other 5 seed that I would be like, I think they should have been a 4 to beat UConn. So I guess I have 2 complaints. But, okay, so you could be the 4 playing St. John's. That doesn't sound fun. I like their draw better than that. You could be Arkansas. Arkansas gets a 4. I don't know if Calipari's mad about that or what. That's all weekend is like, conference tournaments suck, as he says every year. But Arkansas, if they win, they're probably looking at Wisconsin. Anybody been watching them lately? I am messing with Wisconsin. Wisconsin, they might go out round 1. Those 2 guards they have, they could do serious damage. And then, if you're Vanderbilt and you got Alabama's spot in Tampa as a 4 seed, the 5 seed there is Texas Tech. Now, obviously, they don't have JT Toppin anymore. They're still a very dangerous team. I think Vanderbilt, although, again, they got seeded too low. I think the draw, and I don't want to disrespect Nebraska, but I think the draw is better than some of the other draws they could have gotten.
That's not going to go over well on Cornhusker Twitter.
Yeah, well, Jeff from Nebraska, a faithful listener and texter, of course, he's like, well, don't talk about
so let Nebraska win a game first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's see if they can win their first ever game. So, no, Nebraska's really good. I mean, Nebraska could certainly beat Vanderbilt. Like I said, they play great defense. But there's no matchup. If you can get out on Peyton Sanford and not let him have wide open shots, they don't have any real matchup problems for people.
Let's head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Tim to the program. Tim, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Morning, guys. Enjoy the show.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we're talking about Vanderbilt. I think you're right. I think when we got scrubbed backwards instead of forwards. I mean, how can Florida lose to us and scrub up, and we screw down? I mean,
Florida wasn't moving. They were already a 1, so they didn't scrub up.
No, there was a lot of people that said that when we beat them that they would go back to a number 2. But I think the other team that was going to take their place at number 1 got beat too. So right. I think that's probably why they stayed there.
Yes, that is true.
Still, I'm like you. I mean, we got beat yesterday, and we got beat by a better team. There's no doubt. But, I mean, the last 3 minutes of the game, we kind of threw up some wild shots, and they took advantage of it, and they beat us. Best team won yesterday. I'm not, we did good. We beat Tennessee. We beat Florida. But that right there, those 2 games and then getting to the SEC championship, it didn't matter more for us to get to the championship like you said it does, because we went backwards.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate the call. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair complaint for Vanderbilt fans looking at the way this all shook out yesterday. But as you laid out, Joe, it may be a blessing looking at the path here. So we'll see. I say that,
They could lose.
They could lose to McNeese.
Absolutely.
So we'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
100%,
But nothing's ever guaranteed in this tournament. But I think at least, we talked about Vanderbilt and Tennessee heading into the tournament, and neither one of them were playing all that great. Well, if you're Vanderbilt, don't you feel like you figured some stuff out this weekend and you're feeling pretty good about yourself heading into the tournament? That would be the way that I would be feeling if I Mark Byington and the Doors heading into this.
Yeah. I mean, they were really upset yesterday, and I get it because Vanderbilt has two. What's crazy? Arkansas, that was their second SEC tournament championship ever.
Yeah.
They have one in the year 2000. And, of course, it's like Cal's like seventh for him. But, Vanderbilt has won that tournament in 1951 and 2012. So it was an opportunity loss, and I think they were really that hurt them because it would have been pretty cool for them to be able to cut down the nets and celebrate with their fans who, like I said earlier, I thought showed out really impressively in this game after Byington kind of campaigned, on Saturday, please pack this place up. So it's too bad because they were right there and they did. They had a couple possessions that weren't great. Trevon Brazil hits that three. I think he hit 2 threes late. And if that guy's going to hit threes, I'll put Arkansas in my Final Four, honestly. I mean, it's if he's hitting shots, they are extremely dangerous. But yeah, when it comes down to it, you're exactly right, Robbie. Like they have figured stuff out. When Duke Miles came back, it didn't look great. They had some. Now Miles and Tanner, they looked like they looked early in the year, and they weren't playing great teams. So there was a little bit of like, are they that good? Well, look at what they just did to Florida. Like that's when they play their best. They can be electric offensively. And I really love how they battled in that game. And Florida got 10,000 offensive rebounds still. But they battled, and they battled at the rim, and they tried to – and I thought they did that yesterday too. So I'm definitely optimistic about the way they're playing right now.
So the 4-1 seeds are Duke, Arizona, Michigan, and Florida. Duke, the number 1 overall seed in the tournament. I'm looking at the East part of this bracket.
It's loaded.
It's pretty loaded. Like you've got Duke as the 1, UConn at 2, Michigan State at 3. I mean, Sparty's going to be fired up to get in that tournament out there. It's a pretty – even the –
Kansas 4, St. John's 5.
Even if you're Duke – even like Ohio State, TCU, and the 8-9 is interesting. Like it's a pretty loaded side of the bracket over there in the East. If you're Duke today, you're like, oh, great, the number 1 overall seed. Look at where we are right now with all this stuff going on.
Yeah, no, they kind of got screwed. I mean, seriously. Now, granted, you don't have to play everybody. Like some of these teams are going to beat each other. Michigan State, UConn, if that's a sweet seed, one of them's going to lose. You only have to play one of them. But even like for UConn, UCLA, which beat Michigan State and has been talented all year. Like they are
dangerous 7.
The very dangerous 7. They did get a couple guys banged up. So, and now Mick Cronin's got to have a flight to Philadelphia. So I'm sure he won't say anything about that at all.
Got to go all the way across the country.
These kids at the chemistry lab. But yeah, it's like even like Louisville is as a 6, I mean, that's a talented team. And by the, they do the seeding, you have to be within 6, right, of your top 4 seeds. And I think one of them was 37, and the East is by far the strongest at 31.
Yeah.
Because Michigan State's the top 3, and UConn UConn's not the top 2, but they're like the second 2. And so, yeah, I mean, that's a crazy region for sure. I mean, I look at Michigan. They got a pretty good path, man. Michigan got a pretty good path to the Final Four. I mean, like Alabama. Could Alabama on a given night hit 15 threes and shock them? I mean, sure. But I don't know that Alabama's even going to be in Chicago. And then we talked about the other side already. Tennessee. I mean, I just need to know who else is stepping up for Tennessee if they're really going to make a push for something. Iowa State is very good, and that could be a good regional final. Tennessee,
I'll be very surprised if they make it out of the first weekend. That's just me.
Yeah, I won't be shocked by that. But if they, you end up looking at Iowa State, that's a tough one. Hopefully, they can, for the Vols, for Rick Barnes, they can get to Virginia, and if they put forth their best game, Virginia might be a little bit overvalued here. based on what they just did this weekend.
Let's head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in our friend Kenny the mailman to the program. Kenny, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good friends. I like numbers, and I've really, really appreciated this season for Vanderbilt. I don't want the fans to overlook the season. They've done something that they've only done like 6 times in the past 50 years. Do y'all know what that is?
I don't think so.
They're going to wind up with single-digit losses, and that, to me, is a really, really good season. Very rare to beat Tennessee twice in a season. Very rare to win 2 SEC games. Now, they've got to get this off their ledger. When's the last time they won an NCAA game?
When is the last time they won an NCAA game? My guess
It's
is
almost
2012.
20 years.
I was going to say 2012. Yeah. Did they not win a game after winning the SEC tournament?
I don't think so. You might want to check that. I think they've just maybe they've just won 1 in the past 20 years. So they've got to get that off the record. But it's sort of bad. The NCAA tournament is the fixation of everyone. You need to really enjoy the seasons as it's going. And when you only lose single-digit losses, that's a good season.
Yep.
Y'all have a great day.
No doubt about it. Thank you, Kenny. Appreciate the call. 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. More reaction to get to on the bracket. We have Gentry Estus from the Tennessean coming up at 7 o'clock. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Right Time HVAC, Cromwell Media teaming up to bring comfort back to your home. Is your heating system struggling or completely out of commission following the winter storms, or do you need a fix to get you ready for summer? If so, nominate yourself for the Right Time Home Rescue and tell us your story. You can enter today at thegamenashville.com/HVAC, and you can win a new HVAC system installed by Right Time HVAC. Right Time HVAC, locally owned and operated. There's never a wrong time to call Right Time. Taking your thoughts on the NCAA tournament and the bracket, 615-737-1025. Chase from White Bluff says, Nate Ament will have to take over if Tennessee wants a chance. I'm talking 40-ball double-doubles. Nate, all we need is 40.
Yeah, 40 and about 14 boards. Cool. Yeah, how about maybe like 6-7 assists? He is a heck of a passer. I was impressed with it. Yeah, he was great. He plays 32 minutes in that first game, and I was like, man, and he's hitting everything, he's dunking, and I'm like, that's pretty amazing. That's a great thing for Tennessee. He had a real tough day against Vanderbilt. Now, granted, Chandler Bing. Let's not give a little shout out to Chandler Bing. Boy, are people gonna have fun with that? I will
they
say,
already started. It's all over TikTok now.
Yeah, I wrote a story about it in The Athletic, in case you didn't see it. I had so much fun writing that story and coming up with friends references.
Did you know Joe writes for The Athletic?
Thank you.
I'm sure he loves it.
No.
Sure he's never gotten tired of it.
I'll tell you what, I was a little worried. I was like, oh, this kid's this is his whole life, and he's dealt with this crap. And I went in there, and he was really good, man.
They said on the TV broadcast he's never seen the show.
Yeah, he told me he's seen some clips. Yeah, I mean, his bio on the Vanderbilt, the only thing it says for personal on his bio is has never watched Friends.
I hope he never does. I
Yeah.
hope he just kind of leaves it alone.
But he was a very good sport about it, so good for him. And also, most of the people on that team have not watched Friends. I polled the whole team, except for a walk-on it's his favorite show. He grew up as his mom made him watch as a kid. And he's a huge fan of the show. So
They're a bunch of youngins. It's not really surprising.
No, exactly. This is, yeah. I mean, have you watched any Friends?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you're in your 30s,
Yeah.
so, But yeah, and that's what Byington said. I was talking to Byington's a huge Friends fan. He's like, these kids don't even watch TV. Like, they don't watch TV. They watch like TikTok stuff.
YouTube. Yeah.
It's not good for your brain, by the way. Have you guys seen the studies about this? Don't let your kids watch this crap. I totally screwed up as a parent. What were we talking about? Nate Ament.
College basketball.
Yeah, Nate Ament. No, he had a tough day. He couldn't hit any of those mid-range shots. Again, Bing did a great job of making him take contested mid-ranges, which on a lot of days he'll take 10 of those and he'll hit 7 of them. He just had a rough shooting day, and maybe it was a little bit of soreness from being out a little bit, and then you're going back-to-back days. I mean, no other time of the year do these people play back-to-back days, right?
Yeah.
In the NCAA tournament, you get a day in between. During the year, you play 2 games a week. So you got to remember that too. It's a totally different level of battering these bodies, which, of course, is kind of funny when you think about it. It's like, do the conference tournaments really matter that much? And yet this is what you're doing. But anyway, I agree. I think Estrella might be the guy I look at for Tennessee, where it's like, get him the ball some, let him be aggressive, get some inside out shots off of that. The problem is, like, the role players are any of those guys going to be able to hit, like, I like Bishop Boswell a lot. He's a tough player. He plays good Dion stuff, but you just don't have any confidence when he rises up to shoot a basketball, And obviously Akpara is a lob rim guy. Estrella is my guy I look at, like, as the third guy for Tennessee to run a little bit of offense through. And I think he can do it. He can step out and shoot a little bit. I think he's a big key for them in this tournament, to be aggressive and provide some offense.
Tyler says, Joe, it's not good for your brain. What are we talking about? Joe's out here doom scrolling at night. Have you seen the studies?
Well, I mean, Katie, is now it's not TikTok. It's what, Reels? You do that stuff, right? The
Instagram.
Reels.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we're sitting there watching TV and she's over there like laughing about stuff, and it's like, then the next second something else. It's like it's just like a new video every
Algorithms.
4 seconds. Like
Go fry your brain.
It could be a big problem. I've done
We're all
a
gonna
better
die.
job recently of trying to put the phone down. I guess getting off Twitter's helped that.
Yeah,
But
good for you.
Like it could be a problem. Every now and then I'll be like, wow, I've been sitting here for an hour just watching TikTok or Instagram reels.
Yeah.
Like Kuharski's face will come up every now and then. There's Kuharski making videos again. There he is.
That should be terrifying. Get you the heck away from this stuff.
Jared from Spring Hill says, I didn't mind the computer choosing teams for the BCS. I think computers should do the NCAA tournament because there's no way a computer would put all these teams in the East. Humans do dumb things in this scenario.
But see, a computer, Jared, would actually not care about stuff like some of the stuff that we were talking about with them. Like a lot of the East is the loaded region. There's always one. But a lot of the East too is like just like the blue blood element of it, right? Like it's like because UCLA's in there, Michigan State, UConn, Duke, like they've combined for like all like incredible wins, championships, all that stuff. Computer didn't care about that. We don't need a computer to do it. I think the humans did pretty well.
I mean, I think this year is evidence that you should do it.
Well,
if you got all the teams right.
Yeah, that is true. Actually, I had I had the at-larges right. I had Yale winning the Ivy League and Penn. Did you see how that?
No, I did not. Didn't catch it.
Wow, that was an insane ending.
Yale and Penn.
Fran McCaffrey takes Penn right to the tournament. Matthew from Jolton said, "My boys in maize and blue going to go all the way."
They're pretty good.
They are. I feel like losing LJ Kayson has hurt them, and they didn't look great this weekend. You know, they easily could have lost really to Ohio State and Wisconsin, and then Purdue took it to them yesterday. But they are obviously they have a great chance. I expect them to be in Indy, and then are they going to match up with Arizona? That's the thing. The more and more as I watch these teams, and you hate to like overreact. Like a lot of times, like, oh, this team won their conference tournament, looked great. I'm picking them to win it. I don't know, man. Arizona is. I think Duke and Michigan. Maybe it's east of the Mississippi bias. Talked about them a lot more this year. Arizona might be the team.
All right, so we've talked about Duke, Arizona, and Michigan all year, right? And now I think more recently in the second half of the season, you could probably put Florida in that mix too. Are we getting 4 1 seeds in the Final Four this year? I'm not asking you to fill out your entire bracket in front of me, but are we getting 4 1 seeds in the bracket in the Final Four this year?
No. Now listen, I said this, and Kyle Tucker and others can attest to this. I said this before Vandy beat them. I said, let's remember that Florida a year ago, incredible team. They won this tournament. They looked awesome. It's like they are legit. They had the same front court. Now, some of those guys are better. Chinlu is better. But do you remember last year the Superman cape that Walter Clayton Jr. had to put on just to get them to sniff the Final Four?
Yep.
Their guards are not good enough. I'm sorry. Like Xavier Lee is hitting shots now. That's good. Boogie Fland is a good player. He makes good decisions. He plays good defense. I don't trust him ever to shoot a basketball. If you don't have guards who are going to hit shots for you, I'm completely fading Florida on getting to the Final Four. And honestly, I'm not sitting here picking Vanderbilt to beat them in the Sweet 16. But if Vanderbilt plays them in the Sweet 16, after what we just saw, you think Vanderbilt can't beat Florida?
They just did, so they absolutely can.
So my answer to you is no, and it's because of Florida. Sorry, Florida fans.
You heard it here first. Rexrode taking Lehigh to take down Florida. We'll have Gentry Estus from the Tennessean coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. Talking a little NCAA tournament, and to help us do that, we head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Gentry Estus from the Tennessean. Gentry, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Doing well.
Are you going to Oklahoma City? Or if so, how excited are you that Joe's going to be there too? I just looked some things up. There's a couple Cracker Barrels there, so that's good. How are we feeling about Oklahoma City?
Maybe not my first choice, but hey, it does help that Joe's going to be there. I thought about that when they sent Vandy to OKC. It's not the worst place. I've been there for a Women's College World Series before. They do a good job with that event. So probably out of the 8, it wasn't the worst. Maybe not the best either.
It's going to be 95 this weekend, Gentry. 95 in OKC.
Well, good thing the games are indoors, I guess.
That is true.
Yeah, it'll be 52 in the arena.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Probably get sick.
That'll be nice. So, Gentry, let's start on the Vanderbilt front. They punched their ticket to the SEC championship game this weekend, taking down Tennessee and Florida in the process. So, obviously, very impressive there. They fall short to Arkansas yesterday, and they end up as the number 5 seed. So what do you make of Vanderbilt as a 5 seed, which I think took a lot of people by surprise in the aftermath of that this weekend?
I thought they were underseeded, and I think it does lend a lot to the idea of they set this bracket days in advance and they don't mess with it. I don't really see there's any other way to look at this. When you look at all the numbers and the metrics and everything else that's supposed to be taken into account here, Vanderbilt, you could make a case, was ahead of all 4 teams that got a 4. So you could say a lot. You say it's name recognition. You could say any one of it, but I think really what it is they didn't really factor in these last few wins over Florida and last win over Tennessee and win over Florida. And I know every year people complain one seed line or another, but this is a big deal. When you look at the difference in Vanderbilt's matchup versus Nebraska, who's right next to them in the bracket, McNeese is in the 60s in Ken Pom. Troy is like 130, 140 something. So the level of difficulty that Vanderbilt's playing versus Nebraska in the first round game is extreme from 4 to 5, and that's how important this can be.
Well, yeah, I agree. I agree on the first game. Now, I do like I think their potential draw after that is better than it could be. I mean, you look around, I don't think it's terrible, but I will argue with it, Gentry, because I understand what you're saying there. It seems that way, but like in the Big Ten, they absolutely had a contingency bracket and flipped it when Michigan State was going to be a 2 seed. Purdue beats Michigan. They jumped up from the 11 to the 8. I mean, he laid it out for us yesterday. Keith Gill did. So it doesn't make sense that so in the SEC they didn't take anything into account. I mean, I don't think that's the explanation. I mean, I don't know what the explanation is. I said it earlier. There is the 1 seed line wiggle room to make the bracket fit. That does happen some years. I don't know why in particular this would necessarily do that, but I mean, I don't know. To me, I thought they should have been a 4. They're a 5. It's a 1 seed line difference. So I guess it's and this is the most egregious one, I think, of the whole bracket. So I guess in terms of that, it's not crazy, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't have an explanation. The numbers say that some of these 4s should be behind them. Maybe the non-league hurt them some. I mean, that's one thing that Keith Gill said yesterday when Myron Metcalf asked us. He said it's total body work. And I thought back to their non-league strength of schedule wasn't very good. But I mean, I'm with you. I think we all agree. The Florida win to me should have cemented them as a 4.
Well, a couple of things to that. I mean, Vanderbilt's non-league, it wasn't as strong as some other teams because they didn't play in the Players era and all these big-time neutral site games that other teams had. But they beat St. Mary's by, I think, 25 points.
Yeah.
VCU was on there. UCF was on there. There were teams that got in this tournament. Vanderbilt's schedule ended up looking stronger than I think it would have before the season. And also, you mentioned the Big Ten, but I'll throw you St. John's. That team's better than a 5. St. John's and Vanderbilt as 5s to me were the ones that I rejected probably the most over, let's say, Kansas and Alabama.
Yeah, St. John's gets screwed by the Big East being trash this year, but I agree. They're definitely better than that.
So on the Tennessee front, Gentry, they end up as a 6 seed. It's the lowest seed they've been under Rick Barnes. You've got Ament getting back in there over the weekend and getting healthy, so that part of it's good. I said earlier in the show, I'll be surprised if they get out of the first weekend. That's just me. What do you make of Tennessee and the path now in front of them as a 6 seed?
You know, the first round, I think they could potentially have the easiest first round. If Miami of Ohio happens to get in, you know, play in that first game in Dayton, if they happen to get in there opposite Tennessee, I absolutely love that matchup for Tennessee. I think they may be playing they were playing by far the weakest at large, in my opinion. I get it. I understand how they get in the field, but I think that's a pretty good matchup for Tennessee. And I don't think Virginia would be unbeatable in the second game. I know a lot of people really don't like Tennessee's draw, but I saw Virginia played in exhibition at Vandy right before the season. You know, and you could tell then that Virginia had some players and they were going to have a pretty good season, you know, but Vandy beat them. That was the first indication I think you saw that Vanderbilt was going to have a pretty good team. And I don't necessarily think Tennessee is in a match. I don't think that's a team that's going to overwhelm Tennessee. And, you know, I think they could play the kind of game they want to play against a team like Virginia. So I feel like I don't hate Tennessee's draw. But they obviously Nate Ament's the key. I mean, can you get him going on 2 days rest? Because I think it was kind of alarming against Vanderbilt that clearly he was not the same player against Vanderbilt that he was against Auburn. And you wondered, was it just soreness? Was it something more going on? You know, so that to me is obviously the biggest question. And then the second biggest question is, if he's not scoring, then who is?
Yeah, no, that's the thing with them. It's like, I mean, I think that, you know, Gillespie is going to get his shots, and I think he'll play well, and I think Ament will certainly play well. They might need him to be Superman, you know, to win some of these games. But who is the third guy for Tennessee who can give them some kind of offense, give them some kind of option if a team's able to, you know, to take those two out of the game, or at least limit those two guys? If you had to say someone, who would it be?
Who'd you say the second was?
Well, Gillespie and Ament.
I would definitely say Estrella was the third one. I would agree with you on that, Joe. You mentioned that a lot, and he's one that I've kind of thought all season. You know, if they get him going, he has the ability to create his own shot. He's got good when he gets the ball on the low post and he's able to be able to get his looks, he can score. And I feel like if he could step up and be more of an option for them consistently than I think he has been for a lot of this season. But otherwise, and you got Amari Evans too. And that was a strange aspect to me of that Vanderbilt game in the SEC tournament. You know, you're talking about a guy who played wonderfully against Vanderbilt in Knoxville, kind of kept him in the game.
Yeah.
And then we barely even saw him at Bridgestone. So I don't know why that was.
Yeah, you're right. He's when he's aggressive, gets to the hole, I mean, he can help them. I still don't trust him ever pulling up for a jump shot, but he would definitely be a guy who could be key here moving forward too.
So Gentry, on the Titans front, as we kind of wrap this up here, what do you make of what they've done in free agency? How much of a needle mover has it been for you in terms of how you view their roster?
I mean, they're obviously better. I think you're in a situation where it's interesting to me because you have a GM and Mike Borgonzi who came in very much along the we're going to draft and develop, we're going to be patient, we're going to be disciplined in a lot of the moves. And it's just a lesson that you give any GM in that league, that much cap space and a 3-14 team. And yeah, he's going to go buy a bunch of players, and he should have. That was the right thing to do. There are obviously a lot of holes on the roster. I don't think they did anything in free agency that where you drastically look at this and say, gosh, they're going to be really good now. I mean, I don't think that was ever realistic, but they did check a lot of boxes, and they were very active in some areas that they needed to be, most notably in the defensive backfield. So to me, I also like bringing Calvin Ridley back. I know, everybody had kind of written him off over the course of this offseason. It just seemed to become a given that he wasn't going to be back. And that I never understood that. I did with L'Jarius Sneed. I agreed with that. That he wasn't going to be back. But I never saw, I was like, why wouldn't they bring Ridley back? And if they were able to do it at a discount, and apparently they worked out something, I think that's a sneaky good move for the Titans if they're able to give him some help and make him. I think Calvin Ridley still could be an awfully good number 2, but it's just he hasn't been able to stay healthy, and he also hasn't been the number 1 that the Titans have been paying him to be. But that doesn't mean he's a bad player.
I've also looked it up, Gentry. There's a few Waffle Houses in Oklahoma City as well. So you and Joe should be in good shape this weekend. I think you're going to be fine. Cracker Barrel Waffle House should be fine.
As somebody who spends 2 weeks every June in Omaha, it'll be fine. We'll find lots of steak.
We'll find a side of beef, and a little touch of gout. It'll be fine.
I mean, Gentry may need to police this a little bit. We can't be having a gout episode in Oklahoma City.
He'll have the baked chicken. Order for me.
I will say, though, as somebody who spent most of February in the Alps in Italy, where it was about 10 degrees a lot of the time, I challenge anyone to have that much of a contrast from one month to another.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
No doubt.
Going from 10 to 95. Gentry, have a great time in OKC. Thank you for being with us this morning, and we will talk to you soon, my friend.
You bet. Take care, guys.
Gentry Estus from the Tennessean, Joe Rexrode's travel buddy, coming up this weekend. We'll react to what Gentry had to say. Big game for the Predators last night. Not the result that they were looking for. We will get into that. Coming up next, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
A lot of people are asking about the gout.
Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5 The Game, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. So, Joe's a big game yesterday for the Preds, taking on Edmonton on the road, and it did not go well for them. They lose 3-1 last night to the Oilers. Draisaitl scored early in the game, and then Weisblatt with a check on Draisaitl knocked him out of the game. Doesn't sound like Draisaitl is going to be out for any length of time, but knocked him out of the game. Connor McDavid with, ho-hum 3 assists last night for Edmonton against Nashville, and you lose the game. So, they had a big win last week against Seattle to pull within 1 of a playoff spot. And then you follow it up with blowing a 3-1 lead against Vancouver. You lose in overtime at that point. And now you've lost to Edmonton, and now you're back down to 4. So you're 4 points out of that final wild card spot. Seattle's at 71 points. They got a win against Florida yesterday. You got San Jose in front of you. You got LA in front of you. So you're still basically, Joe, right where they've been. They've been unable to gain any traction when it comes to getting within that 1 point and being able to vault it forward. They haven't been able to do it. And yet another situation where that's been the case. Now, they're going to have some opportunity this week. They're on the road at Winnipeg, which certainly should be a winnable game. They got a massive game coming up on Thursday against Seattle. So another game against the Kraken. They got San Jose next week. So some of these teams that are right there in front of them, you're going to have a chance to play here in the next couple of weeks here. But it just kind of feels like right now, Joe, this is a team that cannot grab a hold of this thing and gain any traction here. And we've talked about it since January 1st. They've been basically win 1, lose 1 to some degree, or win 2, lose 2. That's basically how it's gone. And after last week pulling within 1, you're back down to 4 points out of a playoff spot if you're the Preds.
Yeah. I feel like we may be headed toward, in a couple of weeks, it's not even worth talking about it anymore. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd like to be wrong, but it feels like hanging on by a thread right now at this point. Yeah, look, you've got tough games on the schedule. You got trips. Edmonton has been struggling, but Edmonton is obviously still a very good team at home. These aren't. The Preds have had some good performances and lesser performances, but it just seems unrealistic to me that they're going to be able to string together the kind of hockey that's going to be required to actually get on the right side of things. And because, like you said, we're talking about 2.5 months of treading water.
Yeah.
After an incredible not incredible, but a really strong hot streak to put themselves in position after a terrible start.
Yep. And I say Winnipeg's a winnable game coming up this week. It is. But if they lose, if Winnipeg beats them, Winnipeg hops them in the standings. They're only 1 point back of the Preds. So you could be, by Wednesday morning, looking at a situation where, not only is it Seattle you're trying to chase down, but you'll then have San Jose, LA, and Winnipeg all in front of you at that point if you lose that game. So, it's not looking great right now for the playoff push, just in terms of their ability to sustain anything. They got the win against Seattle last week, and Joe, they're up 3-1 in the third period. If you're a Predators fan, you're thinking, all right, well, here they go. Like they beat Seattle. They're up 3-1 against the worst team in the league, and then you blow that one. You always knew Edmonton on the road was going to be a challenge, because it's always a challenge against those guys. And you're sitting here basically at the end of that week not having gained any ground now with the way that this has gone. And it just feels like a similar story here, which I think is for a lot of Predators fans why you look back at the trade deadline and you're like, what are you doing? Why did you think that this was going to be any different? So look, there's still time, but there ain't that much time. They've played 66 games. So you're talking there is 16 games left in the season, and it's going to come quick. This week, the schedule, this is who they have over the next week here. Winnipeg, Seattle, Vegas, Chicago, San Jose. That's between now and next Tuesday. That's how many games they're playing. It's a lot of games coming up. So, the picture is going to continue to get a little thicker here just in terms of how you view it. And look, you've got Winnipeg. That's a winnable game. Seattle, you just beat them. You got them at home coming up on Thursday. Vegas is a really good team, obviously, on Saturday, but you got Chicago on Sunday, San Jose. Like, you can put together a streak here. It's not like this is some daunting schedule over the next couple of weeks, but they just haven't been able to do it. So until they do it, I kind of feel like it's probably going to be what it's been, which is them basically treading water. And Joe, if you ask me to guess right now where they'll be this time next week, they'll be about 2 or 3 points out of a playoff spot, because that's what it's been for the last month, basically.
Yeah, it's possible. The condensed schedule, I mean, there's all these games. I mean, it provides opportunity at least. And like you said, there are winnable games in there, but yeah, it's hard to expect a lot better at this point. What will it take for them to actually get on a roll?
Yeah, I mean, somebody wondering why Saros didn't start last night. I mean, my guess is it's just the schedule part of it. I understand they had a few days off, but you got coming up here, it's every other day, and in some cases, back-to-back. So they've got 2 back-to-backs coming up to close out the month here. Vegas and Chicago this upcoming weekend, and then the week after that, they got Montreal at home, Tampa on the road. So there's a lot of back-to-backs coming up. So I guess you want the other, like, Annunen lately when he's been in has played okay. Like, he's been pretty good. So I don't have a huge problem with them not starting Saros yesterday, because my guess is he's going to start every game this week. Winnipeg, Seattle, and Vegas coming up. So
yeah, you got to give him a
break at some point, but I understand the thought process there.
You got to give him a break here and there. And yeah, I mean, at some point, which is just about now, pretty much right about now, you need to lean on him heavily. And, right, like, if you're going to get on a roll, that's part of the equation, isn't it? It's like Saros playing peak Saros.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a big part of it. Keith says, I just hope O'Reilly has a great time the rest of the season and really savors the moment of being in Nashville. After all, that's why we're all here. It's for him. It's from Keith. No hard feelings from the trade deadline.
Yeah, I sense sarcasm, Keith.
I do too.
So O'Reilly called himself garbage last night. Is that right? Did I get is that
probably
correct?
I mean, I didn't see it, but
someone tweeted that O'Reilly quote said garbage about in reference to himself.
That would add up. I've seen him,
which is actually him being kind of easy on himself.
Yeah, it is. I mean, half the time I expect to walk in the locker room after a loss and find him, like, with his toenail with a hammer somewhere in there. Like, hey, calm down, bud. It's gonna be all right. But yeah,
like finding himself.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Barry, I'm gonna Venmo you like $10,000. I suck.
Here's my salary. Yeah. You can have it back.
Yeah.
No wonder they wanted to keep him around.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah.
They'll close out the road trip coming up tomorrow in Winnipeg, and then they are back at home for 5 of the next 6. So an opportunity coming up at home for the Predators. We'll see if they can run with it. I mean, they're going to need – some of their veterans have dried up a little bit here. And obviously, Svechkov scored last night. That's good to see. But when you're not getting a lot of goal production at the moment from guys like O'Reilly and Forsberg, and Yossi's dried up a little bit, Stamkos dried up a little bit. I mean, it's not a great time for that to be happening when you basically are going to have those guys score, or you're just not going to win.
Do you think that obviously they're fighting? Of course they're fighting. But do you think two things since the trade deadline, just some of the lineup changes that have been necessitated by the deadline, and also just, I don't know, maybe a little bit of a win coming out of the sales a little bit is affecting them?
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, I say that. I mean, they went in a big game environment in Seattle when you knew you needed to win it, and they did it. And then they screwed one up in Vancouver the next time out. Like, so
you got to get those 2 points.
That one's the one that I think right now, like, losing on the road in Edmonton, it's like, yeah, I mean, that's not necessarily unpredictable to see coming. Screwing the Vancouver up the game the way they did, I know they got a point out of it, but screwing that up the way that they did, they may look back and say, man, like, you can't be letting those points get away.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they can respond to it. But I mean, right now, like you said, it's been since the new year, since January 1st, they've basically been treading water. And is that going to change down the stretch here where you got some high-stakes hockey games coming up. We'll see. 615-737-1025, our phone number. A couple moves made by the Titans over the weekend. We will get into that. We got the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up at 7:45. Cory Curtis at 8 o'clock. All that ahead, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Come play hooky with 1025 The Game this Thursday at Jelly Rolls Goodnight Nashville, and on Friday at Boomba's in East Nashville from noon to 6. You can watch the basketball games with us, enjoy great food, handcrafted beverages, and win prizes as well. NCAA tournament coverage on 1025 The Game, presented by Toyota, Thompson Machinery, and Pizzona MD. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode is coming up. Joe, a couple moves made by the Titans. They have restructured Calvin Ridley's contract, and he will be around in 2026. So after what they did in free agency, bringing in Wan'Dale Robinson, and that being the one move at wide receiver, made a lot of sense, I think, from my perspective, to keep Ridley around at that point. That's what they've done, and Ridley going to be a part of the fold here as they move forward. So you've got your 2 fourth-rounders from last year that you feel good about in Io Manor and DK. You've got Ridley. You've got Robinson in the mix. And now the question is, what more could you add to it when it comes to the NFL draft. But what did you make of the decision by the Titans to keep Calvin Ridley in the fold?
I agree with Gentry. I think it's it makes sense. The best case for it is that he is, he's a big part of the offense. He plays, he's healthy, he adapts quickly to this system. He's a big part of the offense, and there already was some chemistry built with him and your young quarterback. Why you already you lost Chig, which is a guy who also I thought had some pretty good chemistry.
Apparently, Chig's about to be freed up in Washington. He's going to run actual routes.
Is that right?
That's what he said.
Okay. I missed that.
Good to know.
Okay. Interesting.
Apparently, the Chig has been some sleeping giant around here. So
he said he didn't run routes?
He said, I will go find the quote, but he was basically like, yeah, I'm going to actually be used here, so it'll be good.
Interesting. Okay. Well, hey, I'm going to withhold any sort of judgment on that because based on how things typically go, he's about to have like 68 catches for 950 yards and 9 touchdowns this year. So, But, no, I like Ridley. I like keeping Ridley. I think it makes sense. And look, you got the 2 young guys that you hope are on the rise. You've got Wan'Dale Robinson, who is going to be, important in this offense. Now, you don't like to field an offense and have a chance to move the ball and score points. You're not desperate to draft a receiver. I'm all for drafting a receiver if there's a good one at 35, and that's the best player at that spot. I'm all for it. And, I think at some point in this draft, they're definitely going to draft at least one receiver, right?
I would think so.
And that's the ideal scenario is you get someone who can really grow into being a key part of your team and replace Ridley soon enough. But I think for this year, it's not bad to have another year with him and Cam Ward together.
Yeah, he was talking about, the new offense that he's joining in Washington. And one of the things he says was, he'll be able to, quote, actually get to run real routes on the field, end quote. So apparently the Titans offense has been holding back Jake Okonkwo.
That's multiple offenses.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Vrabel and Callahan.
Todd Downing didn't let him run. Just go out like a couple yards and stand there. Okay. Yeah. Turn around.
They kind of used him in like the Johnny role, right? Johnny Smith didn't really run a whole lot of real routes.
Well, I mean, they ran
a lot of screens, little bubbles, get in the hands and get the ball to his hands and let him
I would imagine
do some yak.
The Titans would probably say, you could probably run some more routes if we felt anywhere good about you being able to block in there. So you could act like you're going to, maybe a little versatility to you. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like Chig and Jonnu and whoever. I mean, I definitely saw them run routes. I know I saw that with my own 2 eyes. Settle into a hole in a zone. I mean, I don't know.
Look, it's the Titans.
Hey, I can't wait to see the route running. Chig.
I guess we should leave the door open for him going to Washington and just being really good. I don't know. I've watched Chig Okonkwo and what he is, which is a fine player. I mean, he had 56 catches for 560 yards, but that to me is about what he is, which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
We'll see.
I don't think he's going to go to Washington and he's going to turn into like some 95 catch guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so, but I mean,
I wish
Malik Willis is about to take over the whole NFL, so I'm not.
That's true.
A-Dub Ray on the YouTube's like it's hard to run routes when the QB doesn't have time to throw. I agree. There is that too. That's a problem. He also says they're keeping Ridley because they know Wan'Dale was a waste of money. Boy, I hope they don't have buyer's remorse like 2 days after signing Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah, Ravens should have traded for him, and you could just get out of it if you're the Titans.
Yeah.
Just traded for him back in February. Wait. I don't know if we want to do this. The other move, L'Jarius Sneed released. So not that is some surprise, Joe, but L'Jarius Sneed has been released. And at the end of it, I mean, when you factor in what they gave up to get him, how much they paid him, and what they actually got out of him, one of the worst moves in the history of the franchise. There's no doubt. It's pretty awful.
Wow, that is a big statement.
I mean, one of, and I'm saying it's the absolute worst, but it's one of.
It's bad.
I mean, it's inarguably one of the worst moves in the history of the franchise.
I would now like to read I'd like to read a top 10 list. What are the obvious worst moves? I mean, trading A.J. Brown is
A.J. Brown's up there.
Is that number one?
It's got to be up there for sure. I mean, with the benefit of hindsight, drafting Isaiah Wilson where they drafted him, it's got to be up there.
Yeah, there's some draft. I mean,
you put together 3 drafts in a row, really.
Yeah. the drafts, the trades, maybe giving Hainsworth the big deal, I guess.
Well, I mean,
no, they didn't give him the big deal. He went to Washington.
He was fine here.
He was great here. They let him go.
Yeah.
That's right. No, that's my bad. What else comes to mind?
I mean, I'd have to go through the entire history, but
I mean, obviously there's some bad draft picks.
Obviously, like
Vince Young or whatever.
This was more salary cap related, but like when they gutted everything, and you saw D Mace walking out the door and Samari Roll walking out the door and McNair and all that other stuff, but that's kind of a different part of this.
Yeah, and also it was a different cap era then too.
It's
still real.
Yeah,
but yeah, different era.
But they get 12 games out of L'Jarius Sneed.
I believe that's what I saw. Yeah,
12 games. Ended up on IR both years. He did pass the physical on the way out, so that's good. I saw
good for him.
I saw over the weekend there was like this Green Bay Packers fan page. It was like, an opportunity has come up. You could go get Sneed. And I was like, do not do that. Leave him alone.
That's a great example of like everyone knows the name. He has been good.
Yeah.
Get excited. It was like you got to understand what has just happened with this guy. He can't play anymore.
I'm interested to see where he ends up. I mean, I assume he's going to end up somewhere on a very cheap deal, but I don't know, man. Like, does he have anything left? When he played this past year, he was okay. Like
he's
that
okay.
game against the Rams, he had some moments where he looked pretty good. But
if he's on the field, he's okay. But like if I'm a team out there, it would be a very low.
Yeah.
It's like a guy who can help you some, maybe. So I'm not paying much for that.
People voting for the Julio trade.
Yeah. It's interesting. But yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, a second round pick, and it obviously didn't work out. I still like some of these are in the moment of the Julio trade, I was for it because as far as we knew, he still had tread on the tires.
Yeah.
In the moment on the AJ Brown trade, oh my God, what are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
They're a little different, but yeah, ultimately it's all with hindsight.
Yeah. I'm interested to see where he ends up, but the L'Jarius Sneed saga has come to an end with the Tennessee Titans there. So good riddance. I mean, talk about, what did he end up with? $51.5 million guaranteed. He got $51.5 million to play football for the Titans. And think of what they got back for that. It's just awful.
And it's so wild, too.
Just awful.
Mike Borgonzi was cackling along with the rest of the Chiefs front office on the one end of the deal, and now he's finally swept it out of the building on the other end of the deal.
Yep. So that part of it is now gone for the Titans. Corner, they've obviously addressed here. They could probably still, Joe, at some point in the draft, not high in the draft, but at some point in the draft, probably use another one. So I'm interested to see what that looks like. I mean, Marcus Harris probably slots in right now, I guess, is your fourth guy. So that's much better than what it was looking like earlier in the offseason, but probably could still use another body there.
Yeah, for sure. And you can find one. I mean, look, you can, if you're looking for a fifth corner, you can actually do fine with a UDFA. You're okay there. Someone throwing out Conklin on that. Conklin, you got to remember too, Conklin from here, he already had the ACL here. I think he had another ACL since he's left. So yeah, in the short term, that did hurt them. And
he's out there too. I think he's available.
There you go. But I mean, the problem is that leads to Isaiah Wilson. Yep. So if you combo Conklin and Isaiah Wilson, then I'm with you. I think that if you can do it that way, because obviously if they sign him, they never draft Isaiah Wilson. They draft somebody else. There's a chain reaction of stuff that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Interested to see where he ends up. There's also a vote for Vic Beasley. The Vic Beasley one was bad, but I mean, think about L'Jarius Sneed and the money that they gave and the third round pick that you gave up that nobody else was really willing to do. And this is what you got back for it. I'm telling you, man, like when you really start to go through them, it's one of the worst moves they've ever made.
Right. Like Vic Beasley they ain't paying that much. It's, it's a signing, but yeah. When you give up draft capital, and then you also pay a lot for like nothing.
Yeah.
That immediately is a contender.
I mean, I would agree AJ is the worst, right? Like AJ is going to be tough to top.
Yeah, because as someone pointed out in the YouTube chat, like it's also, again, the chain reaction of that. That is why you end up moving on from your coach, who Titans fans mostly wish they had as a coach.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next. Cory Curtis with us at 8 o'clock. All that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
Sometimes it does need to be violence, okay?
Rexrode, you said we were going to lose, you jerk.
I'm a pig in slop.
You can't stay away from shellfish, meat, and meat.
There was a lot of meat, you know what I mean? And of course, I ate all of it.
For you casuals who are kind of dipping your toe in the water, you know?
A pineapple? I have no idea what that means. Yeah, I'm a big swinger.
Look pretty for the cameras.
I do not think it's my camera.
Yeah, I mean, someone in the SEC thinks I'm hot.
It is time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning here on the program. Joe Rexrode's rant of the day. Joseph, who was a TV star all weekend long. The floor is yours.
Well, actually, it was nice on Saturday, I got moved a little bit to the right, which was nice. Maybe it was just too much sexiness, for everybody. It's like, let's tone it down a little bit, folks. Let's tone it down. This is a family show. And then yesterday, I was actually like up on the front row, right next to the Vanderbilt radios, like me, Teresa, and Kyle Tucker over there, which was totally away from the camera. So that was nice. I am going to talk a little bit about that tournament, not about my eating. I did okay the rest of the weekend. I tried to keep it, vegetables, fruits. They did have a little charcuterie board yesterday. Had a little bit of cheese off that. Okay, fine. I did have a few little chicken nuggets and dipped them in honey mustard, but not bad. So that part of it was fine. The thing that I don't know, for people who did watch the SEC tournament, there may have been something that you noticed, and I don't have the time all figured out, but we got a real issue in this sport, and it's I want to give the SEC credit in particular. Garth Glissman is the commissioner for basketball. He used to be in the NBA. He's the one who put together the rule that went into effect this year, which is a very good rule for college basketball. It is the challenge rule. So we can stop. I mean, for people who don't remember, just a year ago, it got so unbearable with every single thing being reviewed.
Yep.
Every single thing being reviewed. There was a Michigan-Wisconsin Big Ten tournament game last year. There were just 7 or 8 kind of close out of bounds things, and they reviewed every single one. And it's like, make a call and let's go. This is terrible. So they put in the challenge system. Great. Now, yes, still late in the game. I mean, officials can review things, but for the most part, it's like, if you have a challenge, we made a call, and if you're out of challenges, okay, play on. But what happened this year? I don't know why this became a thing, because actually it's been in the rule books, but now we have the appeals. So you have challenges, but now you have the appeals, and it's been crazy in the SEC in particular. I think other leagues have seen it. I've seen it in other leagues, but it is crazy in this league, which is, hey, on that play 3 plays ago, I think their guy hooked and held our guy. Can you go look at that? I want to appeal that. I think that happened. How many times did it happen? I covered 15 games at the SEC tournament. I should have kept track of this. That happened 22 times? I don't know. It felt like it. Maybe that's a little high. It's absurd. And almost all of them get denied. I mean, Todd Golden, by the way, sitting across the court from Todd Golden, calm down, bro. It's not that deep. You're a basketball coach. Calm down. I mean, that guy.
Intense.
That guy is, and boy, does he talk some trash too. Did you guys see the video of Todd Golden and Mark Pope?
Yeah,
I
did.
Yeah. So he flips out. He appeals the game. The thing is, Vanderbilt. Everybody watched the replay. No, nothing there. Their arms got hooked. Their arms were, linked for a second. That happens all the time. No, appeal denied. He lost his crap. Todd, we're all watching the replay. There's nothing there. We have to get rid of this. This is good. We were so close. We had the game cut down. We had all the reviews done. Challenge system, great. Now let's have appeals all the time. If a hook and hold is dangerous and it hurts someone, the refs will see it. Otherwise, we do not need to go back and say, oh, did he get his arm hooked in there a little bit? These things happen. If someone yanks and actually hurts someone, well, then that's a big deal, and you deal with it. You get rid of the appeals, no more. And by the way, Garth Glissman and the SC have already proposed this, so let's hope this goes through. I think the challenge system in college, I think that it should just go ahead and include fouls. And then this can be part of the challenge system. If you want to use a challenge because you think they missed a hook and hold, okay, that's a challenge. You get one. If you get it right, you get a second. That's it. We have to go to this. It's ridiculous. The game is so good right now. It's been an incredible year for college basketball. The ratings have been fantastic. The game is fun to watch. The offense is off the charts. We get the challenge system, and now we have these dudes appealing all the time. Like I just desperately need this game to grind to a halt as much as possible, even though I'm a coach and like I should want the game to be watchable. Enough.
They can't get out of their own way. Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, I will agree with you. I mean, as you know, casual would probably be the best way to describe me as a college basketball fan. Enjoyed watching some of the tournament this weekend, and now my real week of college basketball fandom begins. I'm really looking forward to the tournament coming up this week. So,
welcome.
The more offense, the better. Give me the offense. Let's not slow this thing down with any of these appeals. Let's get it going. I mean, as we have also discussed before, Joe, I would think that basketball probably the hardest game to officiate. Probably.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Hockey's not easy either. Football, not easy. Basketball, difficult to officiate. So you're going to miss some stuff. But
baseball easy?
I mean, it's not easy, but it's easier than basketball.
Yeah.
Like it just,
Yeah, you got 10 dudes all mixed up with each other. Yeah, for sure.
Although some of the ball and strike calls these behind the plate umpires miss, you'd think it's pretty difficult. It's like, good grief, man.
I just figured
ball
I'd get you
6 feet
baseball
off the plate. What are we doing? How's that a strike? Anyway, but it's everything you just said is perfect. It's a great year for college basketball. I'm hoping it's a great tournament coming up. It would be a shame for the tournament to just be an absolute dud. I mean, how often is the tournament a dud? Very rarely. One thing that is interesting, Joe, we've talked about this. With the NIL situation being what it is, and this has been a big talking point the last couple of years in the tournament, are we going to see fewer and fewer upsets as time goes on? That, for this tournament, will be something that I'm monitoring very closely here. What's that going to look like?
Yeah, well, and the thing is, I mean, I hope not. I hope we get some great ones. But that's another thing about, just remember, if you like upsets in the NCAA tournament, you don't want Belmont to get upset in the Missouri Valley tournament. You don't want Yale to get upset in the Ivy League tournament. That's some of the problem. March Madness has started already, which is great, and we had some incredible conference tournament games and outcomes. But also, again, it's like I'd love to see Belmont. Belmont right now would be a 12. That's exactly what they'd be. They'd be a problem for somebody. I promise you. And same with Yale. Yale would be a 12. They'd be a problem for somebody. So, but yeah, like I hope we don't have an all one seed Final Four. We had it last year, which is the second time ever, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't want this to become where that becomes like 3 out of every 5 years we have all the one seeds. I hope that's not where we're going.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Cory Curtis from News 2 will be with us coming up next for his weekly visit. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. And every Monday morning at 8, we head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in our friend Cory Curtis from News 2, brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic. Cory, good morning. How are you?
Robert, I'm a delight. It's a pleasure to be on with you fine gentlemen today.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on, as it often does. It brightens up our week each Monday at 8 o'clock. It's a heck of a way to start the week. So we got a lot to get into. We will get into the NCAA tournament here in just a second with you. I do want to start, though, on the Titans. You know, it is in some ways it feels like a lot longer, but it was a week ago today where all this free agent madness began. So in the aftermath of it, at least the first wave of it, what do you make of what the Titans have done to this point and how active they've been?
You know, it's funny you said that because, like, last night when I was putting Sports Extra together, that never aired because of the weather.
Yep,
this was a good time.
I'm sure it was a great one, though.
But you're not complaining.
But I was like, was this all just in the last week? I mean, I felt like we had a month's worth of transactions all in like 4 days. And I could be wrong. I can't ever remember this many like signings in 1 week. So I guess what I'll say is, you know, they clearly had a plan for who they wanted to bring in, and they brought them in. And now the big question is, you know, will they be as successful as New England last year, Washington 2 years ago? Because I still look at all these guys as placeholders largely. You know, all these guys who are on 1 or 2 year deals. You know, even most of the 3-year deals are really 2-year deals until they can draft the guys that can come in and actually play. But the good news is they have the money to pay these guys to come in and play. I guess I'm a little surprised that virtually all of the attention was paid to the defensive side of the ball, but I guess that shouldn't have surprised me with who the head coach is. And while I expected there to be a Dable solid influence, I don't think I anticipated it being that strong.
Yeah, no doubt, right? It's I totally understand. You have players you trust, just like you have coaches you trust. You think they're good and all that. It is a lot from
just from 2 bad teams.
From 2 bad teams. I mean, it's like we got there's a few players, especially on the Jets. It's like if you can get a couple of those guys, now we're talking. But you know, it's hard to get the really good players. But in terms of Ridley in particular, Cory, how do you view sort of the pecking order, the receiving core with him staying with Wan'Dale in, 2 young guys, and then the potential still for them to select someone?
Yeah, I was a little surprised to see Ridley coming back. Could they have saved like $14 million against the cap if they waived him?
Somewhere in that neighborhood, yes.
Yeah, so they must have, but it still would have been like 10, 11 million in dead money. And they must have looked at what else was out there and just said, you know, for what else is out there, we don't want to take that much dead money.
Yeah.
I don't know. And we'll just roll with Ridley. I mean, you know, he's still capable of the big game. Still works hard, but he's just been an inconsistent player for them. And of course, last year had the injury issues. So, you know, I get why you bring him in there, but I guess my thing is do you hope he's one of your top 2?
No. I mean, it would be great if if either one of the guys from last year ascended into that or somebody they draft this year is that.
Or both.
Well, I mean, you know, you draft Robinson to catch 80 balls again, right? 90 balls. I mean, after you sign Robinson to do that.
Yeah.
And then you want Chim or Alec or both to be a year better. And so, you know, I guess what I'm getting at is now you're paying $24 million for a 3. And that's a lot. But I guess when you're as far under the cap as they are, and there is a cap floor that you have to meet, that maybe it makes some sense. And we
I mean, shoot, we've all seen injuries here. It doesn't hurt to have depth. And maybe Cam wants him here. I mean, maybe that's part of it too. It certainly doesn't hurt to have him here. I'll put it to you that way. I was just surprised they were willing to invest that much into a 32-year-old receiver coming off of a significant injury and an inconsistent season.
So how much better do you think they are on defense, knowing that there's still a pretty gaping hole over there when it comes to an edge rusher or pass rusher, but how much better do you think they've gotten on defense?
Well, I mean, I think the pass rush is better without question, by adding Franklin Myers next to Jeff. And I think Jermaine Johnson, I view him as an upgrade over Arden Key. But that other side is still patchwork. I mean, what's the guy's name they signed from Washington? Jacob Martin. Jacob Martin, he's kind of, that Draymond Jones, guy that they brought in last year, although Draymond Jones had a better track record. He'd had, I think, a 10-sack season before. So you need some of those guys to produce at a level they really haven't. So, they still need another legitimate pass rusher over there. But they've got starting corners now. Now, can they stay healthy and actually play? That would put them ahead of the last group of starting corners that they had. So we'll wait and see on that. I mean, on paper, it looks better. But games aren't played on paper; they're played on the field, and they've had a hard time keeping guys on the field for the last few years.
So, Cory, what do you make of the draws for Vanderbilt and Tennessee?
I like most was shocked that Vanderbilt was a 5 seed. It makes me think. So if they lost to Florida, they were a 6 for sure. So I mean, which would have been staggering as well with the season that they've had. But it is what it is, and it really doesn't matter if you're a 4 or a 5. You're playing the 1 in the Sweet 16 anyway, and so that one really doesn't matter all that much, 4 or 5. I don't hate their draw. Yes, Nebraska is good, but I don't view them as an unbeatable team, for Vanderbilt. So I don't hate Vanderbilt's draw to the Sweet 16, and I kind of view them as a Sweet 16 team. So if they could somehow get past that, that would be amazing. But I think they need to get there. Obviously, if they lose to Nebraska, if they get to play Nebraska, that's a toss-up game. But, with the year they would have, you'd like to get to the Sweet 16. Tennessee, gets the play-in winner. And, I always think, that play-in winner for that, 11 and 12, they get a tournament game under their belt.
Yep, they're dangerous.
And I think there's, we see it like in the SEC tournament, once you get a game under your belt, you've got more rhythm and confidence and flow. And Ole Miss, had a strong run here in Nashville, and they weren't that good of a team this year. So I think that could be dangerous for Tennessee, but if Nate Ament is even healthier, I still view them as, a team to move on. What's their potential round of 32 matchup?
Virginia, likely.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough draw. That's a tough draw. So that you see, that's where the 6th seed got to be really tough. So I have a hard time seeing them get past that. But if the freshman plays huge, you never know. And then TSU, what an amazing story.
Yeah.
No doubt.
The coach got hired in July.
Yeah.
And they didn't just win the league tournament; they won the league, and they got better as the year went on. We were on a company call last night for tournament coverage, and we were talking about the St. Louis bracket. And I was like, guys, I said, I tell you, this TSU is just getting warmed up. They hired the coach in July. They've gotten better every step of the way. Somewhat tongue in cheek, but at the same time, it's true. They've gotten better. It's when you talk about national coach of the year, he won't get a sniff, for a lot of reasons. But that is one of the more remarkable jobs done in college basketball this year.
Yeah, there's absolutely no doubt about that. A tough one for the Preds last night, Cory. So they lose in Edmonton, which means after a big win last week against Seattle, where you pull up within one of a playoff spot. You're back down to 4. You got some more big games that are coming up, but they really haven't been able to grab a hold of any traction lately. What do you think of kind of where they sit right now with 16 games left?
Well, look, last night, going to Edmonton, that's a tough assignment. You don't expect them to get any points out of that one. It's the Thursday night game that kills them.
Yep.
Just kills them when you give away that point when you're up 3-1 in the third period. And I know it's 1 point, but this team needs every point you can get. And when you can't hang on to that point, it's really devastating and kind of damning at the same time. It was, that point was there to be had. And the loss to Edmonton isn't quite so crushing if you've got that point. Because that would be what you would expect. You're going to lose in Edmonton. Can you get 2 points on Thursday night? For me, I just want them to continue to play meaningful games. Because if they make the playoffs, they're not advancing. So can they continue to play meaningful games? Not throwaway games. That's what I want to see, and I want to see from the young players. Because frankly, I've really liked what I've seen from a lot of the young players. I think Wood has been one of the very best players on the team since they've come back from the Olympic break. I think he's been really good. Even Svechkov scored a goal last night.
He's playing better. Yeah.
I thought he was allergic to the net. And so, that was good to see. And so the young guys, I feel like are playing pretty well. And, because to me, you're kind of playing for next year. And you're trying to find out, can some of these guys be a part of the solution? And I think it helps to get that idea if you're playing meaningful games. So this will sound like I'm putting up the white flag or weak or whatever. I don't care. For me, it's more about staying in the hunt and playing meaningful games and making the playoffs, because they're not going anywhere in the playoffs anyway.
Corey, it's going to be a fun week. This is when my college basketball fandom begins every year, is this week. So I'm looking forward to the tournament coming up. It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Have yourself a wonderful week watching ball.
Is Wisconsin Green Bay in the field?
Well, isn't their coach? Isn't he doing a radio show?
Gottlieb.
Yeah.
They were a lot better this year, by the way. They were a lot better.
I'm still trying to figure out doing the radio show and coaching ball at the same time. How's that going?
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's a lot of questions I got about him. But
do you think you could do the TV?
I do radio and I'm a male model.
That's true. Could Corey? Could you pull off being a coach and TV at the same time?
Oh hell no! I was kid soccer coach.
You were. I know.
Yeah, but that was 2 days a week.
2 intense days though.
2 very intense.
I always tell this story. When I was in college back in Southern Illinois in the early '90s, Rick Pitino took over at Kentucky, and we used to get their coaches show from the Paducah station. And I say to this day, it is the best coaches show ever. Because we all know most coaches shows are horrible.
Not good.
And unwatchable. That's why they're relegated to times and channels that nobody watches for the most part. And I'm not talking about the Titans coaches show, because we all know everyone watches that on
It's
music.
very good.
But Pitino's coaches show is great because he was basically the primary host of it. And, he would front all these things. And when they brought the players out for interviews, he would interview them. So he knew all these inner details about them and their families and everything. It was great. I always begged that when I did the coaches show here with the Titans, I always beg the coaches, when we bring the player on, ask them some questions. You know them better than I do.
Yeah.
And all of them always said no. They said, no, you just do it. I'm like, it will make for a better show if you will be involved. And every one of them always said no. And I always was like, Rick Pitino would say yes. And Rick Pitino's a champion. But that never worked.
Didn't work? That's a tough one.
No.
I think it's a pretty good sales job. Corey, enjoy the basketball this week, my friend. We will talk to you next week.
All right, I need you guys to fill out a bracket for me. I haven't won in years. I need some help.
Okay. See what I can do.
Uniforms.
We have the nation's leading bracketologist on the show, so maybe he can help.
Did you?
True. I got him all right.
Yeah, he's right here. Joe
I think
Rexrode.
I think I may just paint my cat's paws and just have her walk all over the bracket.
Just see if that fills it out good.
It's just
as
just
good
go
as
with the
anything.
Momo bracket.
That's right.
The Momo bracket.
I like it. Corey, thank you, sir.
Bye.
Corey Curtis, brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic. Joins us every Monday morning at 8 o'clock on the program. We'll react to what Cory had to say coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Your guys have talked about playing with a chip on their shoulder all season, something to prove. Does that carry over here? Do you still feel like you have something to prove?
I love the fact we were dejected in the locker room today, and that means they care, and that means they put a lot into it. And so every single time this team has been knocked down, they get back up. It's just a great quality about them. And we got knocked down today. We were playing really good basketball, and even today we played good basketball. And so now we got to get back up and come back stronger. And so that's the goal: come back stronger and be our best on Thursday.
As Mark Byington, Vanderbilt falling in the SEC championship game yesterday against Arkansas. Apparently, Calipari called the Hawks. Good to see. After the championship,
he did.
Good to know. Been waiting on him to do that for a long time. The bracket is out. Vanderbilt is a 5 seed. They're taking on McNeese in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Tennessee, a 6 seed. They'll take on the winner of SMU and Miami of Ohio. Let's start on the Vanderbilt front. Number one, Joe, I thought played good basketball over the weekend. Needed to play good basketball over the weekend. Take down Tennessee, you take down Florida, which is a huge win, and you fall short in the SEC championship game. But overall, coming out of the weekend, you got to feel pretty good if you're Vanderbilt and you're Mark Byington about the way you're playing heading into the NCAA tournament. What do you make of their run to the SEC championship game and now where things stand for them as a 5 seed heading into the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, they were so fun to watch this weekend. They were really good. And yesterday, really, it came down to it was a fantastic atmosphere. You wonder sometimes we've seen, obviously Kentucky fans always take over the building, but also we've seen Tennessee fans with this tournament in Nashville have they've put a lot of orange in those seats. And I have never really seen Vanderbilt fans show up that much for this tournament. And I'm not ripping them. It's just the reality of the not having very good teams. And in the first couple days, they had more of a presence, but it still wasn't, so Byington after the Saturday game is like, please, like, it was like the other game was going on. I was like, buy them now before the other teams even know who won the game. Let's buy them, let's pack it up. They packed it. It was a 50-50 packed crowd yesterday. They got treated to an incredible game. It was so much fun. And Vanderbilt was really good, and they just missed some shots that I think most nights they hit. And maybe that's a third game in 3 days kind of thing with your legs a little bit. They don't have a lot of depth. But meanwhile, Arkansas was red hot and was hitting everything from outside. And Trevon Brazile hits the 2 threes late that I think are the key plays, even though Darius Acuff Jr. is an absolutely absurd talent. And like if you told me he has not even been mentioned with the number 1 picks, right? Everybody talks about Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonsa, or Boozer. For whatever reason, I always blank on Cameron Boozer's name.
Not Carlos.
You tell me.
That's his dad.
What's that?
Not Carlos. That's his dad.
Yes, Cameron. And then there's Caden, who also is playing for Duke. If you tell me right now that Darius Acuff Jr. goes number 1 overall, I'm like, okay, he should be considered for that. Like, he's that good. He's unbelievable. But Vanderbilt, pretty exciting the way Duke Miles played this weekend. We know Tyler Taylor's great. It is a fun backcourt, both offensively. Yes, they create their own shots. They create for others. They can score it all over the floor, but also defensively, I mean, between them, they had like 20 steals this weekend. Like that may be a bit of an exaggeration, but they are relentless in the passing lanes. They're a ton of fun to watch. Yesterday, they got Tyler Nickel going. That is a big deal because he has been in a big slump shooting. I think the slump has a lot to do with other teams trying to take him away. Tennessee came into Nashville and they were like, the one person who will not beat us is Tyler Nickel. We're going to face guard him. We're never helping off him. So beat us with somebody else. And it worked. And I think that teams have done that to him, and that makes it hard. That makes it so that when you do get an open look as a shooter, sometimes you rush it a little bit. You're a little bit panicked, frantic. And yesterday he stepped up, rose up, straight up and down, and hit some big shots. If they get Nickel going with those 2 guards, man, that's a really dangerous team in this NCAA tournament. There's just no doubt about it. And I thought their bigs competed really well. Jalen Washington played really well. Okereke, I mean, they don't have a ton of depth, but the rotation they have going now is really good. And, of course, it includes defensive stopper off the bench, Chandler Bing.
Yep. Getting it done out there.
Could he be a better glue guy?
Wow, look at you.
Thank you.
Look at you.
Thank you.
Tennessee, a 6 seed, taking on the winner of SMU or Miami of Ohio coming up in the first 4. So what do you make of that? That's the lowest seed they've been under Rick Barnes. You have, obviously, Nate Ament coming back in the lineup off of injury, so you feel good about that. if you're Tennessee. What do you make of where things stand with Tennessee and their path with, like I said, the winner of SMU or Miami of Ohio, and then if they get past that game, likely playing Virginia as the 3 seed in the round of 32.
I'm more optimistic than Cory is on Tennessee, Virginia. Virginia had a very good ACC tournament. They gave Duke a run. Duke's very incomplete right now. Duke needs its people back, Ngongba and Caleb Foster. So you got to remember that it's a wounded team, and that team that blew out Virginia a couple weeks ago. I like Virginia; they're good. Tennessee can beat Virginia. They would have to play their best, and that's the question: will they play their best? I liked how they played for a lot of the Vanderbilt game, but then they kind of faded. Vanderbilt kind of took it to them in the last 10 minutes of that game. They've got to, as I've been saying, they've got to figure out. They got to find someone who takes a little bit of pressure off Gillespie and Amen. We know Amen has to be great. Of course he does. So we'll see if he is. But you also need to have someone else step up and provide some offense.
If you need a bracket to fill out for the NCAA men's tournament, head to theGameNashville.com/mayhem and print off your bracket today. Presented by Toyota. Fuel your adrenaline at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Also brought to you by Maple Street Biscuit Company and Nelson's Greenbrier Distillery. We'll continue to take your thoughts on the NCAA tournament. 615-737-1025, our phone number. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by Green Ventures Landscaping, outdoor patios, landscaping design, lawn maintenance, and more. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. So your reaction to Vanderbilt as a 5 seed, Tennessee as a 6 seed in the NCAA tournament. By the way, on the women's front, Joe, Vanderbilt a 2 seed. They'll take on High Point, where they are a 36.5 point favorite in the first round. Tennessee with an interesting one as the 10 seed, taking on NC State. So in the 7-10 matchup, you got the Lady Vols taking on NC State.
Yeah, and maybe Tennessee gets through that game. I actually would be impressed if they do. I feel like there's a lot of get the season over with them. If they win it, they're going to be facing Michigan in Ann Arbor. That's where they're playing NC State. I don't like their chances at all. Michigan's really good. So I don't think we're going to see Tennessee next weekend. If Vanderbilt wins, as you said, what did you say, 36.5?
That's correct.
They're going to play either Illinois or Colorado. I will say I've watched Illinois some this year. Pretty good team. It's not a gimme if that's the 2-7 game, but I would expect them to win. And it's kind of too bad. They got, they were there as a 1 seed after beating Texas. They stumbled. They get a 2, and they end up in Gino's bracket. And I know he got asked this. He was like, what do you think about, Vandy and Shea Ralph? And he's like, well, it doesn't make any sense. So basically they're the number 8 team now. Cause not that the S curve is necessarily, I don't think in the women's, I know in the men's side, they cannot do the S curve. I don't think they can do the S curve strictly speaking anymore in either tournament, but it is a good point. If Colorado, if UConn is the number 1 overall seed, it would have been, you would have thought maybe someone a little further down the list. Like, for example, Iowa. I mean, Vanderbilt's definitely ahead of Iowa in the pecking order. But that they would have, I was hoping for Vanderbilt's sake that they would have gotten Texas's region, and then, they've already beat them. Because I just don't know that I can see Vanderbilt beating UConn, South Carolina, or UCLA. But let's see if they can get there. Let's see if they can get to the Elite 8. I think they're a 3 seed, Ohio State. I think they are flat out better than Ohio State. And if they can get to the Elite 8 and give UConn a run, that's a heck of a year. I mean, it's already a heck of a year, as we know.
Jeff on the text line saying Tyler Tanner, very good, like you said, but he wasn't yesterday, and that was a weakness that cost Vanderbilt the game. Just my opinion. Also quite interesting that there are no SEC teams in the East bracket with Duke. How about that? Is it a conspiracy?
So
it's not hard enough.
Yeah. I was going to say the SEC is not that great this year. Duke got the most loaded region ever, man. I mean, Duke has reason to, I think, actually be a little bit ticked off. You're the number 1 overall seed, and you get UConn, which has been a 1 almost all year, as your 2. You get Michigan State, which was a 2 going into yesterday, and is the top 3 as your 3. Kansas is a loaded 4. St. John's, arguably an underseeded 5.
They got California Baptist in there.
They do have Cal Baptist.
Who made it in the men's and women's tournament.
Yeah, that is crazy. That's good for them. On Tanner, he didn't shoot well yesterday. Maybe the legs. I don't know. He missed some shots he'd love to have. He missed a couple layups.
Yeah,
where it's just like, man, great move, and you just missed it. So, but he is a great player, and I thought overall he was terrific all week. I mean, Tanner and Miles, that is
Miles
cooking with gas.
Seems like he's feeling better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's hitting some shots at you. For a while early on in the season, you kind of saw Duke Miles and what he could bring. And then there was that huge gap where he didn't play.
Right.
Kind of forgot maybe, or didn't know exactly what he brought to the table. He's been impressive to me just because I didn't see him as much early in the season.
Exactly. And even like before he left, he was playing on the knee and it was hurting him. And I think you can see now the explosiveness is there. And boy,
he can make some tough shots.
Yeah. And he can and he's so good. Both of them are so good at anticipating a lazy pass and shooting in there and turning people over.
We brought up TSU. So to Cory, I mean, I'm looking at this bracket. I'm trying to identify some Cinderella teams that I'm rooting for. TSU definitely at the top of that list. Cal Baptist I'd throw in there. I'll throw another one. Hofstra. Hofstra takes on Alabama. I need Hofstra to win coming up this weekend or Thursday.
Hofstra's not a bad upset pick. Like Bama, you tell me right now Bama's going to just go nuts and they're going to play Michigan in the Sweet 16 and hit 15 threes and upset them. Okay, that can happen. That's Alabama. Also, you tell me Hofstra beats Alabama. Okay.
How much Hofstra have you watched this year?
I have watched a little bit of Hofstra.
Have you really?
I've watched a little bit of Hofstra. Yeah, they're good. That's a legit mid-major team that actually, could be an issue for somebody.
Kentucky gets to 7-10, huh? Santa
Yeah.
Clara. What do we know about them?
I love Santa Clara, and if anybody watched the West Coast Conference tournament, man, they had first of all they beat St. Mary's to pretty much guarantee they were getting in, and then they had Gonzaga on the ropes, man. I'll tell you right now, I'm taking Santa Clara.
If they beat Kentucky in the first round, what's that mean for Mark Pope? Not that he's getting fired after this year, but what do you think the reaction to all that is?
Well, it's already
everything that's happened already this year.
It's already not great, and even like Cal doing what he's doing, that makes it worse.
Yeah,
it does. It's a huge offseason for him. I mean, they paid $22 million for a not very good team. And I understand Jaden Quaitons, that makes a difference, but like even with him, it's a not very good team. It's a very poor job of constructing a team and putting pieces together that don't fit. And just basically like, let's add this guy, let's add this guy, let's add this guy. Yeah, let's pay Denzel Aberdeen all this money to take him away from Florida. And then he has to be in a bigger role than he should be. So it's a humongous offseason. And by the way, if you want to talk about Hofstra, they're 10th in effective field goal percentage defense. They are 3rd in 2-point percentage defense. So you're talking about a team that locks people up. So, and Speedy Claxton is their coach, by the way.
So Alabama better watch themselves. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, can they? Because Alabama. I mean, the bottom line is they probably could really use Bediako.
Well, I'm sure they could.
And by the way,
Tennessee could use LeBron James. But
yeah. By the way, there's another thing about the whole seeding, the 4-5 thing. Like, I disagree with what Gentry said earlier. Like, that's not true. Like, they scrub every team. What they do is they scrub every team, and the metrics favored Vanderbilt, and they were like, but we think Kansas is better. There's still subjectivity and eyeball tests. So they know they beat Florida. They counted that. But they gave some of these teams more credit. And I think that with Alabama, they missed the boat because you should dock them something for the Bediako game, should you not? I mean, I'm not saying penalize them, but I am saying take into account that some of their better performances, he was there and he's not there anymore. Like Alabama being over Vanderbilt is pretty ridiculous. Again, though, I would take Vanderbilt's draw over Alabama's draw because, again, Texas Tech still very dangerous, and then you're looking at Michigan. Vanderbilt can beat Nebraska, and we already know they can beat Florida. So they got poorly seeded. They're off a line, but the draw, if you're a Vanderbilt fan, you got to take that into account. It's actually not bad at all.
Somebody wondering if you used to be able to dunk back in your day.
I thank you for asking. As you know, I've talked about this. The last time that I dunked a basketball was somewhere in the summer of 1993 on the outdoor courts at Prince George High School in Prince George, Virginia, and I crammed it on I won't name him. That's not fair, but he was one of our better athletes, and he looked at me after the whole place went, oh, and he said, fart you, Rexrode. It was an amazing moment in my life. So, yes, I used to be able to dunk a basketball, and now I probably would strain something dunking a Fisher-Price basketball.
Well, he's been trying to get, he's been in the gym trying to get back to that moment.
Thank you for asking.
Hops back up.
Exactly. Thank you for asking about my athletic prime. It was an amazing sight.
Jeff from Nebraska says, listening to Joe during this show is like listening to a kid on Christmas morning. I love it.
Yeah,
the energy level's been high.
I'm too excited, aren't I?
When I asked you if you watched any Hofstra and you said yes, that's when I knew. Wow. He's actually watched Hofstra play basketball this year. It's impressive.
Hey, I mean, trying to put together a bracket. Even though Jake Lyman doesn't even acknowledge that I do a bracket. I heard him the other day, and he's like, oh, Joe Lenardi said this. I mean, what am I? I only got every team right. Jake Lyman.
Got the best bracketologist in the country sitting, 6 feet away from us right here,
Yeah,
and nobody
that's
ever utilizes it.
Yeah, I'm here as a resource, but hey, whatever.
Let's head back to the phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Dave to the program. Dave, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, good morning, guys. Enjoy the talk. I'm a Vandy fan, full disclosure, but with Tennessee and Arkansas, they're alike in a way. I think Tennessee, if Ament is off or not in the game, I'm just not sure the team can. I think they can be good, decent, but not great. And maybe that's the way with a lot of teams. But Arkansas, I mean, the same thing. If Acuff's off or not in there, but boy, after yesterday, I don't see him being off. I mean, he is just too strong he can carry Arkansas. Thanks.
He's really good. Thanks for calling, Dave. Appreciate it. I mean, Joe's halfway convinced after yesterday he's the best player in the country. I mean, my goodness, he's really good.
He's one of the best players I've ever seen. Yeah, actually, someone just texted me today. Like,
clip it.
Seriously, they clip it, man. Keep it.
Who's better, Michael Jordan or Darius Acuff?
Well, I mean, Darius Acuff didn't go 1-3 against the Detroit Pistons in the playoff series. So, I mean,
we get that one in today.
No, I mean, I was asked, like, he's the best college player you've seen since what? And this is one of those things where it's like, oh, shoot, I forgot about that guy or whatever. I will say it reminded me covering the Sweet 16 in 2008, and I watched a freshman from Memphis just destroy Michigan State. And I'm like, he's not only like one of the best college, but like he's going to be an all-time great player. And Derrick Rose would have been, right? Can we all agree on that? Like Derrick Rose with health would have been like, and I get some similar vibe, not that they're the same kind of player, but I get some similar vibes watching Acuff. He's special, man. Actually, Stilly even texted me yesterday, and he said it reminded him of Iverson. I'm like, actually, that's like probably the least stupid Stilly basketball take I've ever heard. It's not a terrible comparison. Good job, Stilly.
You just love him this much because he's from Detroit.
He is a Detroiter, and so there's a little extra love there for that. He's impressive, man. He's impressive. He's tough. He's a leader, but his game is insane.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. One more segment coming up next. We'll take your thoughts on the tournament. The bracket is set. All that ahead, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Joe, I guess I'm going to put you on the spot here. And if you don't have an answer, that's fine. Do you have a national championship pick? Have you determined who your national champion is going to be?
I can't say officially because you gotta go through the bracket, because sometimes you're like, oh, I think this team, and then you're like, oh wait, that Sweet 16 matchup, you know what? They're gonna lose. Like, okay, for example, my impulse right now is Arizona, but I tell you what, I mean the 4-5 we need, as much as like High Point actually could beat Wisconsin, they actually really could. Like, we need Wisconsin, Arkansas in a 4-5 game, man. The round of 32 to me is the best. It is the peak of the tournament. It's amazing stuff. Wisconsin, Arkansas, either of those teams, if they're playing their best, could beat Arizona in the Sweet 16. That is a tough draw to me for Arizona. But my impulse right now is Arizona.
Okay.
They're just so tough, so physical. They don't shoot. They shoot it okay. They don't take many threes. They're like, it's this weird style of basketball. They can go inside and beat you in so many ways. But Jaden Bradley is just such a senior. He's not the most talented point guard, but you look at the shot he made over the weekend. He's just a clutch leader, and I just really like them.
Purdue hot, number 2 seed in that bracket.
Yeah, and they are, and it's a great run for them. I'm gonna fade them on their defense. They just don't have their 2-point defense remains quite bad, and I just can't trust it. It'd be a hell of a story for Braden Smith to be able to bring them to Indianapolis and all that stuff. I just don't see it. Sorry, Purdue. Boiler down.
I'll go Duke.
Duke?
Yeah. Even though their region's hard, I'm going Duke. I just think they're the best team.
Yeah. Well, and to me, like, if they do, the problem is, if they get Keller Foster back, it won't be until the Final Four. Can they get there without him? Sure. But it won't be easy. Patrick Ngongba, they need him back. And if they get him back, that helps a lot. They are definitely, you can see that they're not the same team right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. When they're whole, I think they're the best team.
Nobody's talking about Houston. Tell you what, especially with Florida as a potentially vulnerable 1 seed, Houston maybe coming out of that side of the South bracket.
Well, and they're going to be playing in Houston.
Yep.
Some people are mad about that, but Houston, the 2 seed, is going to get, if they get to the Sweet 16, they're going to get home court there. So yeah, no, I think Houston in the Final Four, Houston-Duke rematch of the Final Four, definitely could happen.
Going to be interested to see on the Tennessee front. Can they put something together here? Offensively, do they just go into a shell? Like, I mean, some of this is probably going to be, everybody talks about amen, and obviously that's a big part of this. I think the tournament success for Tennessee, if I had to boil it down to one thing, is how well does Jacoby Gillespie shoot? Because if he has a game where he's just off, I don't think they have enough scoring beyond those two to overcome it. So if Gillespie has a game where he's 1 of 11 from 3,
which happens,
they're cooked at that point.
No, there. Yeah. No, I mean, and I really like how he played, by the way, in Nashville. I mean, but it's just so much on his shoulders, on both of those guys' shoulders. But you're right. If you run into, and Ament had a 1 for whatever against Vanderbilt. Some of that due to Chandler Bing. Shout out Chandler Bing.
Indeed.
But yeah, you have to have, both of them have to have efficient games. And then you have to find that other person. Gentry brought up, Amari Evans. He was great against Vanderbilt in that last game, and he gave him a chance to win that game. He just couldn't hit a shot in Nashville. He just couldn't hit a shot, but he can at least get to the rim. And then Estrella is my guy. That, to me, it's like they got to get him the ball intentionally. They got to run some stuff for him, give him the ball in the post. He can pop too on the ball screens, and I think there's a lot there. The question is, can you harness that on a regular basis and get him going? Sometimes him at the 4 with Akpar at the 5, or sometimes a smaller lineup with him at the 5. I think he might be as key as anybody.
Well, again, we've talked about this past calendar year for Vanderbilt, but you got the football team doing what it did. You got the basketball team getting to the SEC championship game. The women's team's the number 2 seed in the women's tournament. It's pretty good, man. It's a pretty good run that they're on right now.
No, it is. It's a tremendous, obviously. I mean, it's one of the best years ever for Vanderbilt athletics, and they actually had a good series against LSU in baseball too, by the way. So, it's just too bad that they couldn't finish the deal yesterday. That would have been a really cool scene for them. And I know that they were dejected. People think the conference tournaments, do they matter or not? They are they don't matter as much as people want them to matter. Like in terms of the NCAA tournament, again, it's a game or two or three on your whole profile. But to these competitors, these kids, they absolutely matter. These guys you've been battling with all year, and now you're all in one building, and they really wanted it. And they had a great atmosphere, and they just down the stretch didn't make the plays. And Brazil hit a couple threes for Arkansas, but you still got to be pretty excited if you're a Vanderbilt fan about what that team could do and what it is and what the program is in 2 years under Mark Byington.
No doubt. Joe, enjoy yourself in Oklahoma City.
Thank you. I will. I'll check in. I'll check in tomorrow. I will check in tomorrow.
Good.
Yeah,
we're gonna hear from Joe tomorrow. Wednesday he'll be in Oklahoma City, ready to go, Cracker Barrel in hand. That does it for us on the show today. We'll be back 6 a.m. tomorrow. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.